Hello,
Hello,
I'm Kimberly,
I'm Michael,
and welcome to Real Takes.
and Movie Breaks.
And today we are reviewing the film Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice.
I'm not going to say his name 3 times.
Beetlejuice!
Oh no! I don't hear him. I don't
Okay.
see him. Okay, so this will be our spoiler review. So if you don't want spoilers, click the link in the description. Our no spoiler review is there. This one will be full of spoilers.
Yes.
So we'll start with what we liked, what we didn't like, and if we would recommend seeing this movie in theaters.
Here's what I don't like.
Let's start with what we liked.
Here's what I liked. I like the art direction. I like the idea of this movie. I like that Tim Burton came back and directed it. I like Michael Keaton came back. I like the actors on paper. I like the concept of doing another Beetlejuice. I think the first one is good enough and it is popular enough where it's warranted. So I appreciate it. That's it.
Okay. I like the production design. I like that Tim Burton still uses practical effects as opposed to CGI like a lot of other 2024 films. I love all the actors. I especially like Catherine O'Hara, and I really like Willem Dafoe. And I like the guy, what was his name, who played her wannabe husband?
Justin Theroux.
Justin Theroux. I thought he was hilarious in this. He was one of my favorite actors in this. So I think the cast is great. I like that some of the moments were dark and funny, and the creativity behind this I really enjoy.
Yeah, so I'm going to get into what I don't like about this movie right now. What I hate about this movie, is the writing. The writing in this movie is, in my opinion, I'm just going to go off on it because I think it is so lazy, so bad. And I actually have said to you while we were watching, I was like, I think ChatGPT wrote some of these scenes.
It's possible.
And I think that what they did was they decided, okay, we have some possible scenarios that we can come up with for a Beetlejuice sequel. And what I think they did was they just had like maybe 5, 10, 15 of them. They picked one that was the safest, which is we're going to bring Lydia back. We're going to have her have a daughter.
Yeah.
We're going to have to figure out a way to get them back to the house. Oh, the father, who, if anyone of you know about the guy who played the father, Jeffrey Jones, you'll understand why he doesn't come back. And they milk that.
Yeah, they milk that a lot. That
he died in some plane crash.
Yeah.
And
you see a Pixar
reenactment
version.
Pixar reenactment of this, and
which
then
is weird.
Later he's in the afterlife, and his body
doesn't have a head.
He doesn't have a head, so we don't ever see Jeffrey Jones.
It's like so on the nose, making fun of. Oh, we're not going to see Jeffrey Jones because he got in trouble.
They had to have been making jokes about this when they were shooting the movie. Like, I guess that's what happened to Dad, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
So. There are like 15, I think I counted 15 scenes where we have characters that are like either sitting on chairs, in a park bench, on a treehouse, or in swings, or in a car, or
sitting
in a dressing room, or something where they're talking about stuff about the characters from the original movie and why they no longer are the same people that they used to be, or how they haven't quite gotten over the whole Beetlejuice thing.
And it's so those parts are they seem very unnatural to me. All of the exposition, it doesn't sound like a natural way people talk. And it was so much exposition that you wouldn't really need.
Yes. Even
if you hadn't seen the first film, you don't really need all that.
Right, so you don't need it, but it's most of the runtime.
Yeah.
Because I clocked it. We're at 45 minutes. Nothing yet has happened. I think that's when she first hits the tree house where she meets the guy who's turns out is a dead guy who killed his parents, but he went up into a tree house, fell out of the tree house and broke his neck, and that's why he's dead. But he's luring her into his confidence so he can switch her body out in the afterlife and he can become alive again. The Ortega plot. That whole sequence happens at like 45 minutes in. In the original movie, Adam and Barbara, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, their characters die at like 8 minutes in.
Yeah.
And we're off and running.
Yeah.
We're already into the handbook for the recently deceased. We're into the afterlife stuff, all the art direction. We're into the Beetlejuice stuff.
Pacing is so much
The
better.
family is already moving in. It's jumping. It's moving. It's happening. And it is Beetlejuice. Like, Beetlejuice it becomes this important plot point for what they're trying to get, what they're trying to accomplish. None of that's going on. All we see is Beetlejuice kind of moping around the afterlife, talking about Lydia, who he's still obsessed with. And
so he's been obsessing over her for 36 years.
His wife, who we've never heard about, is suddenly resurrected.
Yeah.
And she's sucking everyone's soul. So we have the B plot of her going around. But he gives some story about how they were at some satanic cult. They got married, and then she killed him. And it's lifted right out of a Mario Bava film.
Yeah.
And then later we hear someone go, "Oh, I met your father at a Mario Bava film festival." And then they start talking about Kill Baby Kill. And she's like, "Oh, that was always Dad's favorite movie." And I'm like, who talks like this?
No one would talk like that.
What Mario Bava film? What are you talking about?
That definitely sounds
it's
like
not,
ChatGPT.
It's like ChatGPT. And I'm like, these characters they're doing the old thing. And I've seen it before. I don't know if any of you have ever seen The Next Karate Kid. So there's a movie famously.
Never saw it.
It's about the Karate Kid, Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
So they made a bunch of them, and then they brought it back years later, and it's Mr. Miyagi, but it's also with Hilary Swank.
Yeah, I saw that actually.
Okay, so
I saw that one.
So in that movie,
I actually liked it.
Okay,
well, I was a kid.
Well, in that movie, if you ever watch it, Mr. Miyagi references several times about Daniel-san, his relationship with Daniel-san or whatever.
Yes.
And you're kind of sitting there thinking like, what? This is how I felt.
Over and over again.
This is how I felt. I'm like, why am I watching this movie? Why am I just not watching the real Karate Kid? Why would I ever watch this?
So that's how you felt.
That's how I felt watching this movie. I'm like, why the hell would anyone want to watch this? Because it makes the first movie look like a total masterpiece.
Yeah, and the first movie had a lot of movie logic flaws. This one, it was overstuffed with so many subplots. And as soon as I started becoming more interested in one subplot, it would cut to another subplot that I wasn't as interested in.
Because that plot has nowhere to go.
And just like the original, Michael Keaton didn't have very much runtime at all. I appreciated that they explained like a little bit of his backstory, but I was hoping in the sequel they would explain a lot more of his backstory and we would get to know Beetlejuice more, but we don't. I really did not like the baby thing. So, and I didn't understand like the who's supposed to be the main character? Like, is it Lydia? Is it her daughter Astrid?
Ortega, Astrid.
And Ortega is just doing her Wednesday Addams thing.
Sort of.
I like her.
She's just very dry and sort of deadpan.
I do like her. I've seen things that she's performed in, and I've enjoyed them before. But in this, she's not doing anything original that I haven't seen before. So it's like, oh, she's just doing what she does when she's in Wednesday Addams, you know?
Okay, so at 45 minutes in, we get her meeting this guy who's dead.
Yeah.
In the treehouse. And then she likes him. Mom, can I go over to his place tonight?
She doesn't realize he's dead.
Right, but he's dead. But his whole plan is to lure her and get her to switch bodies or whatever, and he can live again. So I have a fix for this movie. Here's my fix. At that moment in the movie, she's riding her bike through the town, and she's looking at all the stuff that we saw in the first movie or whatever, and then she wrecks her bike into the treehouse. Yeah. The most ridiculous, convenient plot situation I've ever seen. How about this? Kill her. Kill Ortega.
Yeah, so she becomes a ghost.
Because, first of all, this movie makes light of death. As does the first movie. It makes light of it like, oh, you're dead.
No big deal.
Too bad.
Yeah.
I guess you should have appreciated it while you were alive. Mm-hmm. That's the spirit of Beetlejuice. Yeah. Kill Ortega. Just kill her. Have her die in an accident. Mm-hmm. And then force Winona Ryder to have to go on some afterlife adventure where she needs Beetlejuice to rescue Ortega from the afterlife, and or maybe not, maybe she like something in that realm. And here's another thing I would say: I don't think Michael Keaton was up to play Beetlejuice this time. I don't think he wanted to, or something. He just seemed kind of disinterested. He was phoning it in almost, like, oh, well.
He didn't have the same energy that he had in the first one. He seemed a little more subdued.
It was like a Looney Tunes in the first one.
And he is still interesting to watch.
Yeah.
He is still entertaining to watch, but he didn't have the same sparkle that he had.
Like in the first one, he has these little asides. Like he's like, ha, phew, save that one for later. Ha. Like he'll have those little moments. Where he's like, you know, like doing little things. It almost felt like he came up with stuff.
Yeah,
in the moment.
Some of it felt improvised.
And this, it felt like, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna do this exactly, and we're doing it in this sort of timing, and we're shooting it this way, and there's not a lot of freedom for this character.
Yeah.
And the character must have freedom, and he must have the ability to do, almost like Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah.
That's why I say, maybe this is a situation where you actually maybe have someone else play Beetlejuice that is more up to it. That would
be... I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't like that.
Sure, but...
All the nostalgic fans would not like that.
But the character is the character, and it's the makeup, and it's the whole persona, and... There are a lot of actors, I believe.
Could have done...
Nick Cage.
Oh, yeah. He would have been a funny Beetlejuice.
He could have done his own version.
Yeah.
And then make it more about the character of Beetlejuice.
Make it more about Beetlejuice. Give him more screen time. Let us get to know him and almost root for him. Because the ending... Okay, I did appreciate how...
Get rid of the dad funeral stuff.
Yeah.
Get rid of all that.
Get rid of some of the subplots. I did appreciate how all the subplots did come together and coalesce at the end, but not in a satisfying way. Like, it's the ending, and Beetlejuice, and Winona Ryder's character, Lydia, she makes a deal with Beetlejuice. Okay, I'll marry you if you help me save my daughter. Oh. Because my daughter's trapped now in the dead world.
But we know she's not going to marry him.
Yeah, and so it's predictable. But then they're at this wedding, and then they try to recreate the Deo scene, where they're all singing this song. And it's just silly because it's like, we've seen this before, and it wasn't that funny the first time.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's a famous scene, or whatever. But like,
and then suddenly his ex-wife comes back.
It doesn't work.
And it's just like,
it just doesn't work.
It's too overstuffed.
But there's a way to make this movie and simplify it.
Yeah.
And just streamline the character. And even if it is Michael Keaton playing Beetlejuice, give that character some freedom to do some shocking, fun, funny stuff, because that's what we're here for. We're not here to see what Lydia looks like now and how she's doing a TV show and how she's kind of like no longer the character she used to be or whatever. Like, yes, we get it. She's not the like give her less to do. Because we don't really we get it. She's not.
I mean, I do appreciate how the one part where she realizes, okay, maybe I should stop being so obsessed with death and enjoy life. And then you think there's going to be a happier ending, and then you see her daughter Astrid getting married, having a baby, and she's watching
the ending.
She's watching the baby get delivered, and then suddenly the baby is like a creepy Beetlejuice baby, which we saw a preview of.
It's just a big mess.
And that part I thought was just awful.
Well, that's just the ending.
And then she wakes up, thinking that it was all a nightmare. But wait, Beetlejuice is in bed with her. But then
she wakes up again. It's a double nightmare.
And so it's sort of,
that's the ending.
Yeah, it's sort of like ambiguous about, wait, is Beetlejuice really gone? What is the real ending here? What? And so. The way it ended was so unsatisfying and so silly.
But I mean the movie has nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So how you ever you can't be satisfied when the movie already is broken.
Right. It didn't lead up to anything that was very powerful or profound or deep. And neither did the first one, but the first one at least had a simplified plot that we could follow and we could root for the characters because they're really great actors and they're sort of like everyday people that are relatable. Yeah. So you can kind of see relatable characters and And the only issue is that, oh my gosh, they died. This family moves in. They want to scare them, and that's like it. That's
it's
like the main. It's a
motivation.
very simple story. Whereas this, there's
what's
like
the motivation of these
6
characters?
different stories going on.
I want to not be obsessed with death anymore. I want to get out of this town.
Oh, I want to mend my relationship with my daughter.
Yeah, my daughter. Our relationship isn't working. Justin Theroux is not really. He doesn't really love me, but I guess I'm gonna marry. Like, what is all that? So anyway.
So on a scale of 1 to 5, I would rate it a 2.
2.
And just because I do like the production design, and I do like some of the moments are funny, some of the moments are entertaining.
2.
So I give it a 2 out of 5. If you just love the first one, I would recommend watching this because you're going to have a similar experience. It may be underwhelming, but it's still going to capture some of the same feelings as the first one. But if you didn't like the first one, I would definitely not recommend paying money to see this in a theater.
Yeah, it's a 2 for me. I mean, I kind of just think it's bad. And I hate to say that, but I just can't recommend seeing this, even if you are a fan. It makes the first one seem like a masterpiece.
It's disappointing. And all the hype and everything, it doesn't help because all the hype made me have certain expectations, and so I was very let down. But let us know what you think. Maybe you have a different perspective, and that's the beauty of art. Art is subjective. So if your opinion is different, we'd love to hear from you. Comment below. Let us know your thoughts, and let us know any other movies you'd like to see us review or react to. In the meantime, stay real.
And have great takes.